TMI. Confessionals of the Nerd Kind. And now, your hosts, Jeff Nerfherder Chandler and Jim Kaiju Baker.
Hello and welcome to this TMI Rewind episode of An American Werewolf in London, which we originally covered all the way back on episode 30, along with a movie that I've largely forgotten, and I'm sure you have too, called Hold the Dark. So, for obvious reasons, we are freeing An American Werewolf in London from its companion piece and just presenting it all on its own. If you happen to be a fan of Hold the Dark, you can still listen to this episode in all its glory. Just go all the way back to episode 30 and it's still there. But for now, join us around the fire for An American Werewolf in London.
What was that?
What? I thought that was you.
It wasn't me.
What?
Whose idea was it to camp out for this episode?
I don't know. I wish I brought an extra blanket, though. It's a little chilly. You said we're going to go remote this week. I thought that we were just going to go remote.
Can you give me another piece of firewood, please?
Yeah, sure. Let's fill this up, man. My hands are a little... Woof.
I
Okay.
hope that thing doesn't get any closer. But we might see Sasquatch. This might be your dream trip.
I'm all for it. Let's go. Let's go squatching right now.
For the greater good of this podcast, we are outdoors coming to you from the Alaskan wilderness.
Oh.
So here we go. Let's bring this up a notch. More than a notch. Several notches. This next film is one of my all-time favorites, period, of any film, be it wolf, be it horror, be it comedy, be it anything. American Werewolf in London.
It is a nice little amalgam of comedy and horror.
And when it's a comedy, it's extremely funny. And when it's horror, yeah,
right, you still laugh.
But it hits all those horror marks as well perfectly. So Jeff, why did you pick this as your childhood trauma pick?
Well, obviously this movie didn't come out until early 80s. I was still in high school, but I remember specifically my dad at the time lived on a farm, and his neighbor was one of my brother's friends, Glenn Knapp. And they were probably the only people I knew who had MTV and HBO at the time. And we went to his house to watch this. And I remember, we'll get into it, but the hospital scenes, the flashes, the weird David running through the woods naked, eating a deer, and especially when you get into like these demon Nazi soldiers that were like kind of, and they're squealing like, and just gunning down people, really left an indelible impression on me. And the wolf design is just spectacular. And I remember leaving his house and going back to my dad's house. And for lack of a better term, you have nothing but cornfields on either side of you. And in the pitch black with the moon out, after watching this movie, it was like, all right, we need to get home like really quick.
Yes.
Matter of fact, after I watched this week, I was out delivering in the dark and I still had to see because it was a full moon this week. And I'm like, oh man, I shouldn't have watched that movie. What is that noise? What was that?
You know what? And this movie does have one particular jump scare that I have difficulty watching to this day. It's one of David's dream sequences where he wakes up and you see him in the hospital bed in the woods, and for a split second, he's got like vampire makeup.
Oh, he's got the eyes, the old Michael Jackson Thriller eyes.
So the first time I saw it, I was just like, I almost had, an 11-year-old's coronary right there. But
well, what about the double dream where he has this vision of these demon Nazis, and then he wakes up and he's like, I had a horrible dream. And then the nurse is like, oh, let me open the windows for you. And she throws open the curtains, and there's a demon soldier there who then stabs her 100 times, and he wakes up again. And you're like, you got it.
And the thing with that scene is, I don't think we even need to get into the plot because anybody worth their salt would have seen this movie. Basically we've got the setup. Two backpackers just out of college that are backpacking through the moors of England on their way to Italy. They're hitting England and they're hitting Italy on this trip to Europe. They come across a quaint little English town.
The Slaughtered Lamb.
And the Slaughtered Lamb. And one of the denizens of this pub, I don't know if you caught this, Jeff, is Rick from The Young Ones. Rick Mayall, who also...
Well, I did watch the audio commentary, and they made mention that half of the pub goers were in the cast of Nicholas Nickleby at the time.
And they just dragged him over to the film
basically set. Yeah. Well, they probably offered him free beer, and they all sat there drinking pints and throwing darts. So
yeah, Rick of The Young Ones and Drop Dead Fred is
Dead Fred.
Yeah,
you're right.
Makes a cameo in The Slaughtered Lamb.
And yeah, I mean, and that right there is horrific and hysterical at the same time. Because these two bumbling idiots realize pretty quickly that, they start asking questions, and these British blokes are just like, oh, don't ask questions.
And then as soon as they get out, the old woman barkeeper, you can't let them go.
What do you want me to do, woman?
So they're on the moors, and they get attacked by a werewolf. And it's a great, great scene because they're trying to make each other laugh, and they're trying to still be funny about it while they're faced with this horrible situation, which is probably what anybody would do.
Well, I will tell you the two little anecdotes, which is that 90% of their dialogue was improv. Like John Landis to a large degree, even the two guys. So you got David and you got Jack. David Naughton, who plays David, and then Griffindunne, who plays Jack. Both said on the commentary that neither of them really auditioned for this. They were just offered the part. And in David's case, all they were concerned with was whether or not he was claustrophobic, because and he had no clue what that really meant. But obviously, when you get into it and you start, they do the transformation scene, and he's in all this prosthetic makeup and whatever. That was what they were concerned with. They didn't care about his acting abilities or his likability on screen.
Because when you see all these behind the scenes things where you have to fully encase the actor's head in plaster for hours on end, and all that he has to breathe with are little straws through his nose.
Pull the molds, Griffin's case, his character is brutally mutilated, and he comes back as a vision to David, but then so this only takes place over a 2-3 day window. I mean, the whole thing is very truncated, but then he starts rotting away. So each time you see Jack, he's now more decomposed until the point where he's just a skeleton, which was an animatronic at that point. The actor was actually controlling the jaw and just doing the lines offset.
Oh, really? So Griffin was actually the one controlling.
He was actually controlling, right? Yeah. This is just, again, it's funny because when they're on the moors, they're like, oh, what is that? Is that a dog? I don't know. Let's go. And they're just, it starts pouring rain, and the camera's so tight on them as they're hustling through the moors, and they're like, oh, stay off the moors. They look down. Oops. Beware the moon. Uh-oh. So they realize pretty quickly that they're screwed.
And it's another case of you're being scared of what you can actually see. Again, like Jaws. It's very much done so in quick cuts. You don't really know what you're looking at a lot of the time unless you've got the pause button until the end, where you get the really big reveal of what the werewolf looks like when you've got a lot of long shots.
One little flash of him as he attacks. So they do another a setup fake jump scare. Whereas they're running, David falls, and you're you jump because he falls, and it's just it is just tearing him apart. There's blood everywhere. Jack is screaming, and what do you do as a buddy? You get up and you run. And he's running away, and then he's like, I gotta stop. I got. And he turns around, and he comes back, and sure enough, at least the pub denizens save the day.
But not before he gets a scratch himself from the wolf.
Yes. And so as he passes out, he turns over, and all you see is a naked guy laying there with bullet wounds to a point, and you're like, wait, what? And then you realize that guy was the werewolf. Then when you cut to him in the hospital, and they're not, so this is a couple days later, the hospital. But now he's starting to have all these visions. He doesn't know what's going on. They're trying to convince him that it was just a crazy man. He's like, I got bit by a werewolf. No. That's it. After Jack comes back and tells him he sets up the whole story that he's been bitten by a werewolf, and that now Jack has to walk the land of the undead
in limbo. Yes,
until the curse is lifted, and you got to kill yourself, David. You got to kill yourself. And meanwhile, you got the nurse. She's like, David's losing his mind, and she's like, well, you can come stay at my place. It's like, what's it?
But this makes sense because David is now oozing the animal pheromones, and that's what they kind of give the impression that she's attracted to that.
Yeah, okay, I'll buy that.
because there's that long scene where she's like, I don't normally do this. Take strange American men, and I bet you tell.
Yeah, and then immediately takes him in the shower, and I forgot. I mean, I've seen this movie numerous times, but I forgot that whole love scene.
And apparently that went on for quite a bit longer, and they had to cut it in order to make an R rating.
Oh,
so
really?
Apparently it was much more explicit than that. But we're skipping ahead. In the hospital, he gets a visit from Frank Oz.
Oh,
Yoda.
Mr. Slow down, calm down.
Mr. Kessler. Mr.
Kessler.
And if you close your eyes, you would just picture Bert in that room with him. That's all he was doing his Bert voice.
I got a Fozzie Bear going.
I was thinking Bert.
And then we even had a Miss Piggy and Kermit cameo later.
We did, yes. It's horrible to associate Miss Piggy and Kermit with such a horrific scene, but it is. It kind of sets it up where you're in the safety of your own home watching the Muppet Show, and yet all these demon Nazi soldiers come in.
Right.
And
that had to have been around the same time that he was filming Empire. It was 81.
It was 81. So no, I think they filmed Empire 79, actually.
Oh, was it that late?
Because it came out in 80. Yeah.
But still, I mean, up to that point, I don't think Frank Oz had any screen time as an actor. I mean, he's showing up in a bunch of different Landis movies.
Yeah, the Blues Brothers was the one that comes.
Well, right. John Landis directed that. Yeah. And so I will tell you a quick story, which was 85. I was in college in Long Island. And for whatever reason, as college students, we used to constantly get solicited for movie premieres or screenings. Come to Sunrise Mall, come see this movie. It's not been released in theaters. And it was an advanced screening of Spies Like Us, which John Landis also directed. And we were told right before the movie started that the director could or could not be in the theater with us watching this screening. And the whole movie, I'm thinking, John Landis, he directed American Werewolf in London. Yeah. Like, that's the only thing I could get out of my head was the guy who directed American Werewolf in London was in the same room as I was.
Was he?
I don't know. It wasn't like they got up in front or asked any questions. I wasn't asked to stay behind and fill out any kind of focus group things.
He wasn't incognito anywhere. He
probably was. I don't think I would have recognized him.
He stood up and did the big reveal at the end. It's me.
Well, he does have a cameo in the end. In the big Piccadilly Circus scene.
Yes, he does. Yeah,
he has a little cameo.
He gets rocketed through
the window or whatever.
Yeah,
which we'll get to there. So this supposedly was almost filmed entirely in sequence, which is almost unheard of in a movie. Like literally, the first scene is what they filmed. The last scene is what they filmed.
And on location, I might point out.
Yeah, they said I think the Moors part of that was actually in the back lot of Windsor Castle, which was kind of interesting. But they filmed this like February and March. And then this movie came out in August. So, I mean, the production timeline was pretty truncated.
I really don't see why they wouldn't have taken advantage of the Halloween release date for this. It would have been perfect.
Yeah, I don't know, what the thought behind that was. But when you look at Rick Baker, who was coming off Star Wars, he did a lot of the creatures for the cantina scene and whatnot. He was one of the first, names that I knew of guys behind the scenes that weren't an actor or a director. I mean, Rick Baker went on and he's done phenomenal work, but this whole werewolf transformation thing was so revolutionary. And it was, watching this behind the scenes stuff, it was like he just had kids who were fans of his come all over the country to work with him on this. And they were just kind of making it up as they went.
Yeah.
And that transfer, I mean, again, you've seen it 100 times. This was, I think, the first Oscar ever given out for special effects or makeup. And I mean, even now with CG and whatever, you couldn't have done it any better. This still is just absolutely so riveting. And David Naughton completely sells that his body is mutating, his hands are growing. He's growing appendages, his ears, and the hair coming out. It's just so well done. I still get it. You watch yourself and you're holding your breath. And again, you've seen it.
You can tell it's actually happening. It's live. It's not, you're jaded now because all the CGI tricks. And you can kind of tell as a viewer what's CGI and what isn't. When it's done really well, sometimes it blends seamlessly. But still, I don't think they've gotten it quite to the point where it can fool you into thinking that it's reality.
Right.
But this was live in the camera reality.
Yeah, and what they did was they rebuilt that entire apartment on set. So, there's a scene where David rolls over and he's full on dog, except for his head. And he's really just kind of buried underneath the floorboards. And it's just his chest and his arms with his head. And everything else is just animatronic prosthetic.
And I love that one scene at the end of the transformation where the camera is panning over the final completed werewolf.
Yeah.
And it's just beautiful to look at.
Yep, and you just get the little. So you really don't, right? So that's probably the closest you get, and then he goes on this killing spree. But there's a scene in the tube in the subway where the guy is running for his life, and this thing is like chasing, and you're getting it from the wolf's point of view. A lot of the chase stuff,
Right.
which
So
is
you're
awesome.
not seeing, you're not actually seeing the wolf while the chase is going on.
So he gets to the escalator and he falls. His books go everywhere, papers, and he's on the escalator and he rolls around. And now it's a headshot looking down the escalator. Now it's in the middle of the night. The tube is completely deserted. It's the only guy in here. And as the escalator's rolling up and you're seeing the guy, you just see the body of the wolf come into frame. And you get a sense of its massiveness, and you get a sense of it's one of my favorite scenes, and it's just such a 2-second little throwaway too. When you get to the end of the movie, you see the wolf. I mean, for lack of a better term, you're getting 3/4 of the wolf. You never really see his hindquarters, and do you know why that is?
Yes, I do.
Okay, well, yeah. So basically, the only way they could figure out how to make this thing work was to put a guy on a wheelbarrow.
So all you see,
his legs are sticking out the back end, and he's got both hands in the forearms with his head in the and the animatronic guys are running the mouth and the jaws. And they're just somebody's
somebody's pushing him along as he's running along with his
so
front,
simplistic,
with his
and it's so like I guess probably on set I'd be laughing. I'd be like, I'm not afraid of that thing. That wolf is so. The eyes, the mouth, it's so, because you do get some head-on shots of this thing, and it is just it's horrific.
It is. It's very visceral, and you have a lot of expression in the eyes as well. Around the eyes, there's a lot of movement around in the eyebrows and in the snout, like leading up to the eyes.
Yeah.
So especially at the last scene where Nurse Price calls out to David, and his eyes soften a little bit.
Yep, you get gets the recognition, the realization.
And then the wolf takes over again, and then he leaps at her.
Yeah. So
going back to the tube scene, that whole evening of mayhem where the wolf is attacking various people, it made me think when he attacks the hobos, it was like right out of Beware the Blob. That scene.
Right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right.
And Burgess Meredith. It was like
that would have been great if they had. Imagine that. Bring in their Burgess Meredith to recreate their roles. I don't remember him being quite so hairy.
But it's funny because they have a little dog, the 3 hobos, that runs off. Winston.
That's not Winston.
So yeah, that whole they cut to the snobby couple on the edge of the park, and they're waiting for their friends to arrive.
Yes, and
meanwhile David is eating them up, and the wolf is like just tearing them apart. Honey, something's going out. Well, you go out and check. And the guy's got his glass of wine out there, and he's like, oh, hello. He's walking out in the middle of the woods.
And he steps on the entrails, and the look on the guy's face, it's like, it's not even a look of
terror. Just a severed hand. But that whole cut, so that end where they're in the tube, you see his face, and then it just cuts to a roar of a lion as David wakes up in the zoo the next morning. He's naked a lot in this movie, because those dream sequences where he's running through the woods, and he's like, I just went for it. They told me, just run around, just run naked.
And he wakes up, he's in the wolf pen.
Yeah, with real wolves.
Yeah.
So, and then he steals the little boy's balloons. And he's now trying to convince her. He doesn't know what happened. He doesn't remember what happened. He ends up stealing some lady's jacket. He's buck naked, wearing this overcoat.
But then he hears from the taxi driver that he gets into the taxi, all the murders that had happened the previous night.
But again, like you said, you go from this horrific to this comedic. Like he's now dealing with the ramifications, and he's now, standing in line waiting for the bus, and he's buck naked except for this lady's coat. And you see
that he's stolen,
all the feet, and then you just see his naked feet, and you pan up, and the guy behind him is just looking at him like, "What the?" And he's like, "Hey, how are you today?" But yeah, he realizes pretty quickly that Jack has been telling him that this is going to happen, and he didn't believe it. And now he's trying to get arrested. Now he's like, "I did this. This is horrible." So he goes into and he's trying to get the police officer, the Bobby, to arrest him. And the guy's like, all right, go, move on your way. And he's screaming, Prince Charles is a hag. He's whatever he can do to get arrested, and it wasn't working.
Queen Elizabeth is a man.
There you go. I'm the famous balloon thief, he says, because he stole the balloons to cover up.
So, and I also would like to point out that the cab driver, are you familiar with Guy Ritchie's movie Snatch, starring Brad Pitt as the unintelligible Irish boxer?
Yeah, talk about movies you couldn't understand the dialogue.
Yeah, the cab driver is the bad guy from Snatch, the guy with the huge Coke rim glasses.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so go back and look at it. I'm remiss. I don't know the actor's name, but
little cameo.
The same guy.
And they did some good, some fun stuff with the Bad Moon Rising,
yes.
Creedence Clearwater Revival. And from what I understand, they tried to get Cat Stevens Moonshadow. He didn't want a werewolf movie associated with the song.
Yeah.
So,
but what they did get was extremely effective. Blue Moon, they did.
Yeah, Blue Moon. And then
Moondance.
Oh,
Van Morrison's Moondance.
So now David is confronted with Jack once again.
In a porno theater.
And they go into a porno theater. And do you know that they actually filmed that porno for this movie?
Yes, I did. If you look at the bonus features, like they did sit down.
See you next Wednesday. See you next Wednesday, players or whatever. And from what I understand, that "See You Next Wednesday" is a running gag in every one of John Landis's movies. I don't know if it was like a script that he wrote at one point and never got produced, but it's a running joke.
Like used as a film title in every one.
It's always somewhere. It's somewhere. Either it's in a line of dialogue or it's on a marquee. Yeah, and it was like, what is it? The ultimate orgy or orgy of,
yes.
I don't remember what it was. But
because you see a poster for it in the tube while the guy's being chased by the werewolf.
Oh, I missed it.
Yeah, you do.
So now Jack is completely fallen apart. And he's trying to convince David to kill himself. And now he's introducing all the dead people that he had killed the night before. And they were just also like nice and congenial, except for the guy in the
except for the tube guy, yeah.
Yeah, the tube guy. He was
and the hobo who says, you ain't no friend to me.
Right. So now they're all shouting out ways for himself to kill himself. It was great. Because
if he does, then they're all released from the curse of walking.
Right. And they're all mutilated and they're bloody. And it's just, we're a victim of your carnivorous lunar activity. I thought
activities. The way that
great line.
The way that he enunciates it is great as well.
Yeah.
So then we get the big reveal of the werewolf. The usher of the porno theater comes back to see what the disturbance is in the theater, and he sees David as the werewolf, completely changed.
Just chowing
down over the entrails of some guy that I think thought he was going to get lucky with David. Because as he's changing, the guy's just standing over him, staring at him.
Yeah, he was just kind of like watching him. He's like, what's going on here? He's a little excited.
This is one of the great scenes where they're telling everybody to get back, yet everybody's rushing in. Yeah,
come rushing. What's going on? What's going on?
And this is where they actually filmed in Piccadilly Circus for 2 nights.
Yeah, I was there in '99. I was very excited to kind of just take that all in.
I was there 92, I think, and that's what I was thinking when I was there. It was American Werewolf.
Cannot. So that scene is so iconic.
So David bursts out of the porno theater, through the cage, through the crowd, and he's snapping at people. He rips off the head of the inspector. Now, you'd think that maybe he's scratched more than one bystander here, but
right, because I was thinking the same thing, which was, even at this point, if even one of those people survive, it's going to live on. But really, you go back and watch that, right, he bites the head off the guy, and then that's it. The rest of it is just all reaction to the fact that there's this giant wolf loose in the square. Because people are slamming into each other with cars, people are flying through windshields. It's just, and it's brutal. It's rough, but it's not the wolf attacking them in any way, shape, or form.
And the wolf is just snapping at people that are running by him, but he's not actually connecting, and he's got blood all over his snout from the porno theater.
It's funny because I just remember that being so much more, and it's not. It's literally, it's over in a heartbeat, because all of a sudden, they corner him pretty quick in the alleyway.
And it's funny, you see, because you can tell kind of in some of those shots when you know that it's some guy that's on a wheelbarrow.
Yeah,
you can kind of tell by the movement that he's just being pushed along. But they do make 2 little fake back feet that kind of just come into camera.
Yeah, just
that
enough.
Are moving along, so it gives the impression that all 4 feet are moving. So somebody that does not know like the backstory would be totally invested in this.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah. And then again, so then we have David trapped down the alleyway. Nurse Price, played by Jenny Agutter. I'm always afraid I'm mispronouncing her name. Jenny Agutter is her name. She was one of the Shields, the Upper Shields triumvirate at the end of Winter Soldier.
Oh, really?
Shield, yeah.
Well, they were talking about the fact she was like a child actress. So she's been doing this for a very long time, and I guess she's got quite the pedigree in London.
And she, during this final scene where she's confronting David as the werewolf, calls out his name, and that's when we were talking about before. The werewolf has recognition in his eyes for her, but then leaps to attack, and all the police somehow shoot through her. And
Yeah,
shoot the
no,
werewolf.
because it's a long alley, and they
Yeah.
are able to take him out. There's poor David laying there, bullet riddled.
And then almost immediately, bang, 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 bang.
Yeah, that's it.
Right into
Done.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
No
done.
time for remorse. No, nothing.
Yeah.
My favorite line was, "You're walking meatloaf," when he was talking to Jack.
Talking to Jack, but when he's turning for the first time, the last thing he says, "I didn't mean to call you meatloaf, Jack." As if Jack has anything to do with him turning into a werewolf.
Yeah. Like, I take it all back. So this movie just it holds together. It is definitely
Completely does. And the version that I have is probably from about 2001. It's the DVD special edition. And it still has, my copy still has a lot of grain to it. And I think since then they've come out with the restored edition, which corrects the grain, but I've never seen that, but I can't picture this without that grain.
without the grain.
It
I will
adds
say
to
that
the atmosphere.
I had the Blu-ray from the library, and it was
Okay.
pretty clean. It was pretty pristine. So
In addition to the grain, as you said, they filmed in February and March. So the whole thing is overcast completely every time you have
Right.
an outside scene.
yeah, it's
So
very dreary,
yeah,
which adds
very
to the
dreary.
adds to the whole feeling and ambiance of it.
Yeah.
though.
And it's dated, but in a very good way. It is so of its time, of the early 80s, but in a way that it brings you right back there. And I don't think the movie could have been made to the same effectiveness if it was made later or earlier. I think it's perfect of its time, when these effects were just cutting edge, and it really broke new ground.
Right. Well, I was going to say, I've never seen The American Werewolf in Paris, which I don't know if that was like a direct sequel. I don't know if Landis
It
attached
was.
to it.
I saw it when it came out in the 90s, and I never had the desire to see it again. It was
Well, this almost became American Werewolf in Paris because I guess they had some issues with the British equity, and they would only license a certain amount of the actors to be able to film. And John Landis was fighting because he could only get one of his two actors cleared. And he threatened that if they didn't go through, he would just change the setting from London to Paris, and they'd go and film there. So it almost was American Werewolf in Paris.
Yeah, Julie Delpy is the werewolf in American Werewolf in Paris, and she
I didn't even realize.
apparently is the daughter of David and Nurse Price. So there is that connection between the two movies.
Oh, interesting. All
So
it takes is once. That's like the
Yeah.
Terminator. All it takes is once.
So she's apparently a werewolf from birth.
Huh. You can pass that on.
So, and I remember just going back to 1981. I obviously did not see this in the theater since it was rated R. I saw it on HBO a year or two later. But I remember the theatrical movie poster where it was just David Naughton and Griffindunne in their hiker's jackets looking up at the moon.
At the moon.
And the tagline was the monster movie. So it said American Werewolf in London.
Really?
Below it, the monster movie. As if they would, the studio did not want you to, because the top of the poster said from John Landis, the director of Animal House, a different kind of animal.
Oh, wow. That's really...
So I think it said the monster movie because they didn't want people to think it was a straight comedy, that it was a horror movie as well. So it was just interesting to me that they would feel the need to do that, because I think for that time it was a kind of strange thing to blend horror and comedy. It wasn't done very much.
Right.
Now it's just like if a horror movie doesn't have comedy in it, you think
This really was a precursor to all that stuff. Really set up. There you go. From the director of Animal House, a different kind of animal. Look at you.
I have a feeling I studied this poster. Maybe this was out in theaters at the same time as Dragon Slayer.
That was 81, 82, 81 or 82.
I seem to remember being in the lobby of the theater, seeing something else, and just studying this poster for American Werewolf in London.
Yeah.
Like making a mental note. I'll see that on HBO someday.
Oh, man. That's great.
And as we were saying before, John Landis had to cut some scenes in order to get an R rating. So he cut the sex scene. Still exists in a very truncated form, apparently. And also, the hobo scene was much more violent. I guess he showed the werewolf actually attacking the hobos. He had to cut that out because that actually upset preview audiences. Maybe they were made up of hobos. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, Burgess Meredith and Larry Hagman.
There
had
you
some
go.
issues
I
with
think
that.
it worked. It worked fine. I don't feel like I'm missing anything by not seeing an additional attack.
So I've got to take some popcorn buckets out of the kindling pile here.
So listen, I'm warm now. Don't be removing them.
5 buckets is our max.
Wow, yeah. Oh,
American Werewolf, I'm going to give 4.5. I think
I'm right behind you on that one. I absolutely agree.
this is just one of the the most outstanding films in my personal history. It's definitely top 10, if not top 5 for me, all-time favorites. And if you haven't seen it, go to your local library.
Well, yeah, I got it from my library, so absolutely.
I'm surprised this isn't in your personal collection, Jeff.
It is not, for whatever reason.
4.5 from me?
Cool. I'm right behind you. I will echo that.
For our confessionals,
I
wanted to go a little bit irreverent. I thought maybe this might fit in with our wolf theme, and I had mentioned Daffy Duck before. I'd like to bring some Looney Tunes back into the show today with a philosophical question that's always bothered me. Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner have always been one of my favorite Looney Tunes, but he never gets the Roadrunner.
Never.
He's always hungry. He's always eating tin cans and what have you, licking out the squalid remains of whatever was in the tin can, then eating the tin can itself because he's so hungry and he never gets that Roadrunner. My confessional question is, I will pose it to Jeff and to the world. Should the Coyote get the Roadrunner? Would we be happy as viewers if the Coyote ever did catch the Roadrunner?
There would definitely be no more show.
There would be no more show. But maybe as fan fiction, as something that maybe that would show the Coyote getting his due.
So first we're led to believe that there's no other, right, so he's eating cans. So the Roadrunner's his only option? There's no prairie dogs, there's no other Roadrunners out there, there's no rabbits?
Well, I have one of the Looney Tunes Golden Collection DVD sets, right? And as one of the special features, there is a half-an-hour show dedicated to the Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner. I guess it was a one-shot that they produced for CBS, maybe? I'm not sure what channel it was for. But the Coyote actually speaks in this half-hour show. It's probably from the mid-'60s, I would date it at. And at one point, one of the viewers, as a kid in the show, is actually, it's very meta. The whole thing is these two kids sitting and watching the Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote cartoons, and they're asking the Coyote questions from their living room.
Through the TV.
Into the TV. So the Coyote stops the chase at one point and asks the two kids, I bet you're asking yourself, why I'm chasing this Roadrunner. He looks very stringy and scroungy for a bird, especially. Why wouldn't I chase a turkey?
There you go.
Then he goes on to explain that the Roadrunner is a rare delicacy to coyotes. And that he has a cookbook for Roadrunner recipes and all this, and it's been his obsession to catch a Roadrunner, and that's why he goes after the Roadrunner. So we have it straight from the Coyote's lips.
He exerts a lot of energy.
He does.
Too much energy.
And money, apparently.
Well, so, right. So does this guy's got like an endless credit card? I mean, I don't know. Was he on PayPal long before the rest of us?
Yeah, with the Acme Corporation.
Well, yeah, he must have had some kind of streaming service. We've been told that he's a super genius. So stop spending your money on all those Acme rockets and buy a freaking burger. Really, you're misappropriating funds. I think you're not looking at the big picture here. He's like, again, last week I think I used the Ahab and Moby Dick scenario. He's so obsessed with this Roadrunner that he's exhausting every morsel of his, I don't know, inheritance. Maybe his parents were rich and left him some money. He's a super genius. Maybe he sold a patent or two. But
apparently, he's got a special price break on anvils because they always feature heavily.
Do they even make anvils anymore? Did he corner the market?
I think he did. I think
if I went on eBay right now, I wonder if he'd be selling some Acme anvils half price. The shipping alone must be ridiculous.
But as you said, there would be no more cartoon, obviously, if the Wile E. Coyote would have to move on to other things if he ever caught the Roadrunner. Yeah. But it would also take a little bit of mystery out of the world. It would be like shining the spotlight down on Sasquatch. Oh, there he is. We found him.
Oh,
and that mystery is gone.
One day that's going to happen. No, because once you find him, you got so many questions. Because first of all, you can go to the scientific community, but then it's like, dude, where have you been? What have you been doing? What are you here for? What? To what purpose? So to answer the question, Wile E. Coyote does not deserve to catch. At multiple opportunities and at every turn, he is thwarted.
You could also pose the question, should Charlie Brown ever kick the football?
That's different because I think that, the Roadrunner is just out to save his life. Lucy Van Pelt is just a nasty, sardonic, sadomasochistic little girl who deserves a football in the head. Charlie Brown should absolutely. First of all, he needs to cut down that damn kite-eating tree with the dad's chainsaw. Hey, son. He needs to go and find that football, and he needs to just...
But again, it would, if we saw Charlie Brown do that, it would take away a little bit from because you're so familiar with that. It would.
I don't care. There's a point where the sad sacks of the world, the wishy-washy boys have to stand up. You have to stand up, and you have to take what's rightfully yours.
Well, I say...
Wile E. Coyote can't do that. Wile E. Coyote cannot... He can't seal the deal. Sorry, you're not a super genius.
But neither can Charlie. He always knows that he's going to get that football pulled away, but yet he doesn't.
Yet he does,
time.
yeah. Well, maybe
he does it.
Sadomasochistic. I think he's just...
I think if we give Charlie the football, we can give Wile E. Coyote the Roadrunner.
Why wouldn't he just go after Foghorn Leghorn? That guy is much meatier.
Well, he's not in the desert.
I say, boy, I took a wrong turn in Albuquerque.
You can only be so much of a genius as a coyote, For a coyote, he's a super genius. Maybe he doesn't know.
I guess in the context of super geniuses, yeah, I don't know.
I say that he should get him. I think we would just have to agree to disagree.
So right, that Roadrunner, he's done everything he can to stay alive. Yes. I give him credit.
And sometimes I am more than a little annoyed by the Roadrunner.
Well, he is cocky.
He's a little smug. He's cocky.
He's very smug because once again, he's defeated the super genius. All he has to do is outrun him. All he has to do is take the painted tunnel and turn it to the side, and Wile E. Coyote falls off the cliff.
And remember, last week we had our podcaster in Halloween goading Michael Myers. The Roadrunner does the same thing. He does. So
would you like to see Wile E. Coyote?
I would like to see Wile E. Coyote have a feat.
Just lose his shit and show up in Michael Myers and just slaughter all the Looney Tunes. I've had enough of you.
He would get in that Mack truck that always runs him down and just go through each and every scenario, each and every cartoon, and run everybody down.
Even the chicken hawk. I'm a chicken and you're a chicken hawk.
Especially the chicken hawk. I think that the Roadrunner should get it. I think that they should have like a nice episode of Looney Tunes where the
just all sitting around a table.
Thanksgiving meal, yeah.
Roasted.
Invites all the other characters and says at the end, "You're eating the Roadrunner."
Soylent Green is Roadrunner.
And maybe like a little beep beep, like from the cooked Roadrunner from the middle.
Oh, maybe someone eats him and when he burps, he's like meep meep. He's like cut the black. Bang dang dang. There you go.
Of cut to black. What was that? Jeff, I have another slight confession to make. I scream like a woman.
Oh, that was you? I thought that was me.
Whatever that is, it's getting closer.
Listen, all I care about is I can outrun you.
I think we got to get out of here before that thing attacks us.
Yeah, the fire's getting low, and that cabin's looking really nice. I hope that's not the cabin in the woods, though.
I hope it's not either. It's probably about, 50 paces away, so I think it's time to, let's go.
Let's go. All right, I'm out of here.
All right,
kids, enjoy. Thank you for listening.
If you like what you just heard, be sure to follow TMI Confessionals of the Nerd Kind on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Spotify, or whatever you listen to your podcasts on. Also, be sure to email us at tmipodcast2018@gmail.com.
You can also follow us on all of our socials. We're on Instagram, X, Facebook, Threads. Just go to tmiconfessionalspodcast.com. All of our links are there. And leave us a 5-star review. See you at the concession stand.